Hey, what's up guys, MashShiny here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know before selling or potentially not selling about the Paris Major. I've got a couple different categories that you're most likely invested into, including cases, capsules, and everything else you need to know. So first up here, starting with that first, which is cases. I think cases are the most widely invested area, potentially after capsules even. So this is going to be a very important area for a lot of people, because when we look at the graphs, cases have been going up, and it's going to be a hard question of if you should sell or not, and we're going to be talking about that after a quick word from today's sponsor. Are you looking to grab some of those great looking CS2 skins but don't want to spend a ton of money on Steam tax selling off your current ones? Well, you don't have to with today's sponsor, SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a trading website that's currently offering you $5 free if you use code MasterShiny, or an additional 35% bonus on new deposits with the code MasterShiny. All you have to do is pick out the skins you no longer want, pick out the skins you do want, and send that trade. And if you don't have any skins, don't worry, they're giving away hundreds of dollars worth of skins all the time. Alright, now talking about cases, it's not super easy. In my opinion, it's very dependent on your situation. If you're someone who at this point has extra money that you could put towards Paris and you don't have to sell your cases, I think this would be the most optimal move for so many people. If we talk about cases generally speaking have been on the rise for the past couple weeks. We expected to see a little bit of a pullback. We really haven't seen too much at this point, and even if the prices are stagnant, the chances are they could take off any day now. That's just the way the current market has been operating. If we want to look at unboxing numbers and player counts, first up at unboxing numbers, you can see that we are consistently growing. Even before Counter-Strike 2 was announced, we were at 30 million, then 40 million in March, and now we're projected to see 50 million cases in April, looking at 12 million cases in the past 7 days alone. That's a significant amount of cases, and the truth is, for so many of these cases that aren't in the active drop pool, the prices are going to have to go up if we continually see this amount of cases being unboxed. Player numbers reflect that people are still very interested into this game. But what does that mean for cases moving forward? Now, in my opinion, I think cases at this point have a very solid future, and I can't really say that it's the most optimal thing to sell. Now, if you want to take my strategy, I often sell off maybe 5 or 10% of a case just so I can get a decent amount of capital. I don't think that's necessarily a bad option at this point. It's something I personally did in order to get myself some funds for Paris. I would just highly suggest not being too rash and selling off everything in thoughts that there could be a potential crash. Obviously, this is my opinion and you're free to do whatever. Now, when we're looking at capsules, it's also a very interesting situation. I'm going to be focusing in on the two major ones, which at this point are probably Stockholm and Antwerp. Both of these are very good looking stickers that are holding a very solid price point, and they're ones that I feel like are the most volatile, at least at this point. Now, I did mention it a little bit in my specific Paris video, but this one is a little bit more risky. You're kind of taking a gamble either way. If you hold on to them, you're gambling that the Paris stickers aren't going to be the greatest looking, and these Antwerp and Stockholm stickers are going to stay either consistent or go up. And then you've got the opposite end of that, where if you sell them off, them being those Stockholm and Antwerp stickers, you're then betting that the Paris stickers are going to look very good and are not going to be completely over invested into. It's kind of hard whichever way you phrase it, because you are taking a little bit of a gamble whichever way you choose. I think there's obviously a more risky and a less risky path with this, but there are still two different paths. Now, since the Paris Major is not fully set in stone yet, we still got a couple teams left to qualify. I do want to give a quick second to that. So if you didn't know, European RMRB is still going on. It's got today and tomorrow left from the time you're watching this video, and then we've also got that second chance qualifier, which 3 teams from B and the 3 teams from A are going to be competing for that one final spot. At this point, I can't really see it going to anyone else but FaZe, the number 2 team ranked in the entire world, but we'll have to see. Otherwise, these are the teams that have qualified for the Challengers stage at this point, which concludes the Contenders and the Challengers capsule. If that's why you're confused, there's 16 teams there. Otherwise, we do have our 5 legend teams that have qualified. As I mentioned before, we still got RMRB going on for EU, and that's going to be concluding the final of the 24 teams once we get that second chance in. Otherwise, we do have one interesting one. I usually don't throw it in here, but Playskins as a whole are something I really haven't mentioned too much on. If we want to look at just general rarity of these, looking at the restricted, the covert, and the classified, you can see that they are all on a pretty significant uptrend ever since Counter-Strike 2 has been announced. announced. And focusing in on a little bit of those specific skins, you can see something like the red line is still up a pretty significant amount, and it's got a very nice trend line going. If you can see, it's on the up trajectory. Even the more expensive skins, like something I have, the op containment breach, is still on that upward trajectory. It's a little bit of an interesting area because usually we talk about Playskins being something that you can easily sell and buy back later, most likely for a similar price, but doesn't really seem to be the case here. It's something I do want to point out in case you were thinking of taking that option. I don't think a ton of people generally do that because people do get kind of sentimentally attached to their Playskins if they've got a craft or such, but it's definitely a unique trend we haven't seen in a long time, and it's one that I can't really say at this point is looking like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. So at this point, you're probably like, I get it. I know obviously everything's been going on, but what should I specifically be doing moving forward? And that's a great question, and it's unfortunate because, like I've mentioned through the past couple minutes, we don't have a very specific answer. It's not like we can give a personalized answer because everyone's different situations are going to lead to different outcomes or what they should be doing differently. The biggest thing I want to focus in on is you should not be specifically setting yourself up to be reliant on Paris investing. At this point, we don't know if Paris is going to be a good investment. I think a lot of people are overlooking that, especially in this situation. Obviously, every major at this point has turned out to be a profitable investment, but we keep on inching towards closer and closer to those investments not being profitable. Talking about a very similar time to now is when RMR came out, and RMR has only recently turned profitable. It's something a lot of people are overlooking. Just because it's the last CSGO major does not mean we're automatically going to invest into it. We need to make sure we're picking out good things to invest into, and at this point we really don't know because we haven't seen the stickers, we haven't seen the demand for these stickers, we haven't seen anything so far. So that's the biggest first thing I want to point out, is to make sure you're being careful and not just investing in because it's the last CSGO major, but because it actually has some potential. And then coming over to the major question of the video, what specifically should you probably be selling heading up to the major? In my opinion, I don't think it's a bad idea to ever take profit. Sometimes people really like to make fun of it, but the truth is when we see a pullback like the ones we've seen with Stockholm or Antwerp rather recently, you seem like you know exactly what you're doing. And the truth is, if you don't take a little bit of money out, you're sitting in an interesting position because you're becoming fully reliant on that item continuing to go up. When it pulls back, you're going to be forced to sell at that lower price point if and when you need money. If you wanted my specific suggestion about what you should be selling, I would say if you've got an excess of one thing or another, it would probably be a good idea to start in that area just because you have a ton of it. You've got a lot of your investing weight into that specifically, but if you don't, I think honestly liquidating off a very small percentage of everything within judgment obviously is going to be, generally speaking, one of the more beneficial things to do. It's the same way I raised $1,000 for Paris. It's a really good way to get into investing because you're taking a very small amount of your total items, and most of these items, if they continue to go up, you've still got a ton of them on the back burner. But that is pretty much all I have for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I do hope you have a great rest of your day.